My name is Rachel Hagemeyer, President and CEO of the Canton Symphony Orchestra. Welcome to our podcast, Orchestrating Change. All right, well, we're back. It's been a week for people listening. It hasn't been a week for us. But what we were just talking about, if you guys remember the episode last week, is this idea of the focus and the length of music. I think that's so interesting. And we just, there's something in our society right now that I'm really worried about. And you've brought it up a couple of times, is this idea of being curious. And I really feel like we're losing curiosity as a society. And I don't think it's necessarily anyone's fault, but I think it's the speed of things and how quick things happen and how much access to information we have without really needing to try, right? If we don't know the answer to something, we can just Google it real fast.
And then forget it.
And instead of having to do the research and ingrain it into our own brains, and the study score of a conductor is so opposite. And having to truly understand music and the length of what we do as orchestras is so counterculture. And I think that we should lean into that more and ask our audience, like we know this is not what we're used to. We know we want immediacy. We know we have the 3-minute songs or the 2-second video. Like everything is so fast. And you mentioned movies, and one thing that I think a lot of people, like, they'll sit down for a movie, but I think that there's a statistic right now too of attendance for movies is also down. And so to sit down and watch a full-length movie, less and less people are even doing that. You watch a TV show, or if you're on TikTok, you'll see a whole movie just in little tiny clips on TikTok. It's wild. And so for people who would sit down, and you've mentioned the documentary, sit down and watch this full-length documentary, I wonder, the knowledge and what you learn, because I watched the documentary and it was very well done. Congratulations to the team who did that
Maggie,
documentary.
Yeah, it was our first movie.
That was her first one?
First.
Go Maggie. Wow.
Yeah.
We're talking, sorry, I didn't introduce it. We're talking about the Maestra documentary. And
Maggie Contreras is a movie director. First movie directed.
But I sat down, and when I hadn't watched a documentary in a long time, and I sat down to watch it, and I went, I need to watch way more I need to watch more, because I feel I gained so much by watching that. One, I learned a lot. I got to learn about you and a bunch of wonderful women that are all fun and exciting. And I never would have been I might have, since I'm in the industry, I might have met them, but I never would have gotten to know them.
Yeah, not in that.
In that way. And so I, really encourage people to go watch a full length of anything, but watch documentary, watch Maestra. But I'm curious if you could share a little bit about that experience. And I'd like to talk a little bit. We've talked about several things, but that kind of tie back to the documentary, because you turned kind of into a main character in the documentary.
No. Yeah.
Which is it was very cool to watch.
And of course I did not decide any of that, right? We are subjects. Like the 5 women represented in the movie are subjects. And we signed that paper when they started to be serious about us, that we were waiving all rights and all say that they would do whatever they want with all materials they were recording, right? So between the time they were done with shooting the movie and the time it was finished, it was more than a year. And I remember we regularly had meetings with our friends, subjects, or chatting and things. And sometimes we were so worried. We were, oh my God, I think I said that. Oh my God, I hope it's not in the movie. For more than a year, we were going like, wondering what they would do with that, because I think it hit us like, they could do absolutely whatever. But what was very interesting is that they are fantastic professionals like we are. And they were very respectful, because that's what really good documentary makers are. They want to bring the best out of the subject and not transform reality and make sure that everybody is put to their best light, which I think she managed very well.
Yeah.
Like every 5 subjects look fantastic in different ways.
Yeah.
I was surprised, of course, when I watched the movies for the first time with actor Maggie, who came to Iowa to show it to me 2 months before the world premiere at Tribeca. Was surprised to discover that I was so much center of the documentary. But at the same time, I found it very beautiful and very human. And it's... I think the fact that she put me center is also because I'm probably the most vulnerable of the 5 subjects, opening to on so many topics that all of us, most of us have experienced a way or another. But people don't talk about that in front of camera, right? I mean, I know some of my colleagues were also subjects in the documentary, also experienced things that I did, but did not open up about that. And that's perfectly fine. But the fact that I opened about that, they saw a way that would be very helpful for other people to watch it. But then they needed also for me to probably, through the movie, to not be relegated to another spot because of that vulnerability. You know, how do you manage as an artist, movie maker, the vulnerability of a subject to not bring them more pain, more hurt and things? And I think it was really absolutely brilliantly done and with so much care and tact by everybody that... and I can tell that now it's been like, when was it released? In 2022, I think, or 23 maybe?
I think so,
So it's going to be 3 years, and weekly I get people talking to me about the documentary or sending me messages. Like people get out of planes, send me very long messages about how much it's impacted them or how much they can relate, and they want to thank me to open up about it because they feel less lonely and they feel like, oh wow, so I can also be successful despite having struggled with that or this. So more than that the topic of the movie is about conducting competition, but she made it a movie about humans. And that's what is impacting people the most. You know, you don't need to be a conductor or a musician to watch that documentary because it speaks to everybody.
Right. Right.
And that's what I loved with documentary, like Joan Baez. She had a documentary released the very same summer, and I met her in DC because she was actually bringing the documentary to DC. And I watched it there. She was in the audience, then gave a talk and even sung on stage. But when watching the documentary, I didn't know she would like... The last third of the documentary is about child abuse. Sexual abuse. And I had no clue she had gone through any of that, and her sister had gone through any of that. And her vulnerability in the documentary really touched me because it's something I experienced as well. And I realized that she was using same strategies as I had been using with professional health, mental health people. And that I could tell, oh, wow, that helped her too. That's fantastic. And then I went to talk to her and discuss about all of this. And I felt that's fantastic because here it is. She was vulnerable. It impacted me. I felt less lonely. I felt like that's fantastic artist, American artist, has had a very similar stories to mine. And I opened up on similar topics in the documentary, and I still feel less lonely too, that she was vulnerable enough to speak to us about it.
Right. Yeah. I when do you think you... Because I'm assuming before, it wasn't you while you were shooting the documentary that you decided, okay, I can be vulnerable about these things. Unless, if you did, what a wild time to discover that you can be. But I'm assuming you'd done a lot of work before the documentary happened. I'm wondering, maybe at what point in your life did you did you just realize like, okay, one, therapy is going to be helpful for me, but also that amount of vulnerability, because it's definitely served you throughout your life to be a great conductor. So when do you think sometimes it's a slow thing. I'm curious, like what actually has allowed you to get to be able to be at that place? Because it's a hard place to get to.
That's so hard. That's a very interesting question, because I've been wondering myself, you know.
How did I get here?
Yeah. What brought me there?
Yeah.
I think one more times it's the struggles and some really hardships I had to experience. So probably one point that was decisive in vulnerability is I remember being a student at the Paris Conservatoire, and we would go conduct orchestras in different countries, in Hungary, Czech Republic, and things with professional orchestras, which was fantastic.
Wow, yeah.
But I had so many mental issues yet, because I had just started therapy and still needed a lot of work. And I could not really be on the podium the person I knew I could be, you know. So I was struggling with a lot of things and trying to be someone rather than being myself, because I had no tools to be that person yet. But it would happen that because of my history, I would cry a lot, because everything I had experienced in my life, which now I see. But at that point, I did not understand why was I crying so much all the time.
Which it can be so frustrating. When you're like, why am I crying? And it's so frustrating. You're like, I want to stop, and it makes you cry more.
Yes.
And you're just like, oh God, it's just exhausted. Oh,
yes,
absolutely.
It is exhausting. Yeah. And I was at a point in my life where I would be crying all the time. And I remember that first time I cried on the podium in front of a professional orchestra. And talk about losing control. And that's the most humbling experience, to be able to just not be able to control. And it comes, and you're in front of 80 professionals, adults, you know, grown-ups, in a different country, different culture, and you are crying. Which is not something, there is no model, there is no mentoring for that. You know, if that happens, generally you are considered as lost, hopeless, and you know, it's and that occurred several times after that, and the more it occurred, the more I felt at ease with it, and the more I started respecting myself and accepting that as a natural emotion, as laughter is a natural emotion. And tears are a natural emotion that says something about you. And
it's a tool for your body.
It's a tool.
Because it releases chemicals that actually allows you to regulate, which is why we cry. The cortisol in your system, right? And that's why you can feel exhausted after you cry.
Yes.
Because it truly releases. It's a chemical thing. Your body is trying to help you out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And instead of suppressing, you're allowing your body to cope. And I'd say also your brain, your soul also to cope. Yeah. And so I'd say it's probably one of the times where it has helped me to be more vulnerable, and then the more I kept doing, therapy. I mean, it's not that I knew therapy would be good for me. I have tried about everything before starting therapy. I had tried martial arts, a lot of different techniques and things, until I landed with a therapist in France, where I felt good. So I kept doing that. Then I came to America and found other people, and I'm still working, there is still work to be done. But then crying in front of others showed me that I'm not dead. I'm still here, right? Right?
No one died.
Wow.
Okay, great.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that I can be myself through my emotions. And I think it went to vulnerability. I also truly believe in the power of being yourself and vulnerability in teaching. Because we have all been students, right? personally, I like it when as a teacher is vulnerable and kind, because it means they have done a personal work that can help me with my own issues to becoming myself.
Yeah.
So, for example, the scene of Maestra opening scene starts with me teaching, and actually we are yelling, it's dark, with one of my students, conducting students back then.
Yeah.
And you hear those screams and things, and then that's a conducting lesson that I gave to that student at that time. And I was working with her at that point on being outside of the box, because there is something about women and women conductors, like we are taught, stay quiet, don't speak loud, your body, blah, blah, blah. So when you become a conductor, hey, you know what, you will probably expressing more is going to be very helpful.
Yeah.
And she had been struggling with that for a long time. And suddenly let's do those crazy exercises, which actually I realized afterwards. Maggie talked to me that she had those exercises as an actor. She was trained as an actor, you know. But I had found those exercises just by myself, self-teaching myself on how to get out of that box. But I was able to go there because I was vulnerable, right? And then I could teach it. So it's all of that is a combo,
right? It's such a hard place. So many people don't know how to talk to themselves and understand what's happening in their own body. Therapy is super important. It's something, I've been in therapy, not super duper long. I probably should have been in it a while ago. But it's something that it's hard. It's very difficult for me to do therapy because it's new for me. And so they're asking me these questions and I'm like, well, I know the answer. They're like, well, okay, sure. Yeah. Okay. You know the answer, but that's not where I'm not asking for the answer. I'm asking for the impact and and it's just like, oh, okay. I don't know what to tell you there. It's like, wow, you tell me. I don't know. You're the professional, right? And so it's such it's a learning experience to be able to, look at yourself and realize that you can be very poised and understand. You can be very smart. You can understand all these things and still not be able to understand and quite recognize the different parts of yourself that are acting the way they are. And why do I randomly cry sometimes? It's like, oh, what happened? What did you're like searching around? What happened? So I really encourage, I'm glad that you do too, for people to be open to it, to understand and to just, try out therapy. I know it's a barrier for some people cost-wise. I know that that's a huge issue. And so hopefully our country can get better at, we could talk about healthcare. That's a whole, rabbit hole for us to go down. But,
But that's not.
Yeah.
The other day, Jess asked me, what if you had a genie that, was...
granting wishes,
like, you cannot kill anyone and have them,
You can't make anyone fall in love with you. You can't
what would be your wish? And then I was, wow, that's a tough one. And then I would love for everybody to work with therapists, to everybody to have access to mental health, because I was like, it's gonna be, it would be so helpful. I mean, you are where you are, and I was where I started therapy when I was 28. I wish I had started earlier. I did not. It's fine, you know. But
I started therapy at 27. So
yay. But we made it, right? Because we developed coping skills, survival skills. So that's great because we are smart enough to have built that.
Right.
Now we don't need those shields. There are some shields that we built from childhood.
Yeah.
But we are not kids anymore, right? So there are some things we're still doing that are not needed anymore because we are grown-ups. We know how to defend ourselves and things, So it's just, moving things around.
Yeah.
And but that's really funny because I grew up in a family like my parents. They were, I don't need to go see a therapist. I'm not sick. There is also still a very big thing like that in society. That's no, I'm fine. I'm not sick. It's not being sick,
right?
It's just trying to feel better. You go get massages sometimes. You go have a walk in the park. It's the same. you know, taking care of yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something that I've had to focus on because I became CEO here young. I was 25.
Congratulations. Yeah, that's amazing.
Some days I'm like, oh, I don't know. This is a great idea. But I started very young. And so while it was a weird, I had confidence and at the same time I had no confidence. And it was a very weird thing to try to deal with. And so I got to a point where I realized I was like, I know I'm smart. I know I can do this. I know I have the tools. I'm just not sure I'm using the tools correctly right now. And so about a year into me being CEO, I mean, I got to a point, it was the organization had gone through a lot. We were in union negotiations and it was my first time trying to do union negotiations and talk about musicians being traumatized. We were dealing with 20 years of issues that should have been resolved a long time ago. And so it was taking 14 months. We were in it for a long time. And I'm so grateful that the musicians were in it with me. And it was really hard and we all acknowledged that, but we got through. But I was at the end of my rope there. Gerhardt had passed away. He passed away, just 6 months into me being CEO, and we had lost him. And so not only are we trying to negotiate, but the musicians are actively grieving. I'm actively grieving. About a year in, I was like, okay, I need help. So I got a leadership coach. That's where I started, Celia, who just started saying things that I was thinking and saying, that's not crazy. And just having someone else say, no, you're fine. I'm like, oh, okay, great. Thank you. That happened. And then I started doing craniosacral massage. Have you heard of this?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Amazing.
And I don't know how to describe it to people. It is a wild thing. But when I started taking care of myself and making those actions, it impacted my body and the way that my body felt. And I started to feel my body. Like I realized I hadn't really been actually feeling myself. Yeah. I couldn't know what my body was feeling. And I can't imagine for a conductor, your body is the whole thing. Yeah. So it's so important, especially for a conductor to be able to recognize, I realize I'm tense right now. I couldn't realize that before. And doing craniosacral now I'm like, I know when something's up. Yeah. And I'm so glad that I'm sure she knows about craniosacral, but being able to feel your own body.
It's amazing.
When you finally get it, you're like, whoa, how was I doing life before this?
Yeah, right. Something that really helped me also is acupuncture. I was scared of needles and things, but then when I was in Bonn, there is a great formation center there, so I went regularly for acupuncture. And that is insane to me that they find all the connections between all the points in your body to release some tension or heal some pain. There is so much more to be discovered.
So the nervous system is wild. Yeah. And the fact that, your nervous system and your emotions and your gut health and all of these things so tied together. And I think it's really important that we talk about these things. Yeah, I talk about craniosacral to anyone. I'm like, hello, I need to tell you about this thing. Then I did that, and then I stepped into therapy. So it's like I took these slow steps to try to start trying to help myself out. And it's interesting because now at this phase in my life, we're as an organization, I feel even busier now. And I'm like, why do I feel busier? I'm not dealing with what I was when I first started. And what I'm realizing is that, I've started to pile more stuff onto myself because I feel like I can take it because I'm like, I'm doing so well. Now I'm like, okay, wait, we need to offload a little bit. So I'm curious. I know you're so busy. You've got a lot going on.
Yes.
And I know that family is really important to you. I know that work-life balance is really important to you. How do you not right now I'm in I'm trying to plan a wedding. I'm trying to do a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, we need to offload a couple of things here. Yeah. We've taken too much on. How do you make sure that you're balancing your life in the way that works for you.
Yeah, I think you just said it. It's boundaries. So you have that instinct that tells you, I need to offload things. So that's when exactly you need to just do that, and when you're going to be at peace with yourself. And for me, it's taken me so many years to set up boundaries, to be able to say no, and it's been such a relief. Overall, as women, I'd say saying no is kind of rude. And when I started saying it felt very uncomfortable and like I was insulting and disrespectful. But now it brings me so much peace because I know exactly when it's too much. Yeah. And it means also in your own work, despite being a president and CEO, I'm sure you're pulled everywhere all the time. But by saying, no, that's your job.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to take it. I trust you. You're going to do a great job with that. And that's what, as a music director, also I'm doing with the organizations I work with, because I'm not an employee. I mean, music directors generally are not employees. Sometimes they are, but you're freelance. So that means like you pay high level taxes. You don't have health insurance. You don't have pension and things. And that's not, you're not tenured. As musicians can be, right? So you're on a much more fragile situation. And it was very important for me to realize, I could be doing all of that, but actually it's going to be impacting the other parts of my life. And I need to be able to understand, here is where my job stops. Now, if you want more from me, I need also to become something else within the institution, or we're going to find ways of still making it work with for me, boundaries are very important for employees. I don't like to bother co-workers on weekends or evenings if it's possible to avoid, as much as possible to understand that we are not serviceable all the time so there is that. And also making sure to find, for me, the balance is being with the family and doing other activities like going, finding treasures, restoring a shelf or chairs, and taking the time to do that, accepting that we cannot be on top of things all the time. We are always behind. After probably that's how you feel all the time, right? Oh my God, I need to do this, that. But just by accepting, it's going to be our life like that. Is it worth it for us to lose our health over it, mental and physical? No, we do our best, and so, I think I've really grown a lot stronger, and also telling my manager, no, I don't think it's a good gig for me, or I don't want to do that. Yeah. And I'm very thankful that he's super respectful of that.
He seems great.
Yes.
I've chatted with Dan a lot. I feel like he's a nice guy.
He is fantastic, because some of my colleagues, I've talked to them and they schedule their conductors without even asking them if they want to. It's like bum, 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 bum.
Oh, no.
And no, it's not good. But he's like, he trusts me. He knows, like, if I'm saying no musically, I don't think it's good for me right now, or it would be too much. Sometimes it's just not enough, or it's too much, or any other reasons, like, no, actually, I want to go enjoy the wedding of some family members. So no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. I think that's so, I'm so glad that you do that for yourself. And it's something that I'm working on figuring out the best way to do that. And the thing that sits in my head all the time is like, I got it, but I have to make sure the organization does well. And figuring out, like, you can do, it's not an either or, it's a yes and just figuring out that balance. Wow, I could talk to you forever.
We have been at it.
We could talk forever, but before we end, I am curious if there's anything that you would recommend to the audience that you think, besides therapy, which we've recommended before, but if there's a book or a documentary, if there's something that has impacted you recently that you feel all of the audience would benefit from knowing.
Well, what impacts me right now is a lot about geopolitics, because the way our world is going, and it's hard to just be an Australian forget.
Yeah.
We are impacted.
It's important not to. I think people really need to be informed.
Exactly. Yeah. And something that's really helped me, because it's where do you find information lately? Yeah. And I love to read a letter from an American by Heather Cox Richardson. So she's a historian, and she's specialized in the Republican Party. So she's really studied our history of our country, knows it inside out, and with a specialty on the Republican Party. But she started doing those letters from an American during COVID. It's a daily letter that she writes every day.
Wow.
And it's fascinating to discover about what's happening, really, and how much it's influenced by the past, and what in history and our history brings those events back. So I would really recommend that. It's also, not biased in the way that some media would be. It's history-based facts.
Yes.
So it's something I can really recommend for people who want to be informed, and it's a daily letter by a historian, and it has millions of followers already.
Thank you. I wrote that down because that's really, it's really important. It's hard to, it almost feels like you can't stay informed. There's so much going on. And because we have global news, not only are we trying to learn about what's happening in our community, in our state, in the country, but also informed about what's happening in the world. And so I think that taking a little bit of time and knowing that you can't be an expert on everything.
Yes.
But just taking what you can, what mentally can you absorb right now? What are you capable of understanding? Don't push yourself too far. But I also would say that this is the type of thing of recognizing when you don't know everything as well, and not trying to speak into conversations where you have no information of it.
Absolutely.
I think that's one thing. You mentioned, like, where do we get good news?
Yes.
And I feel like it's really hard.
It's
find
really
good
hard.
News right now.
Yeah, and another resource for people who are really more into geopolitics and do not know where to find, actually was on a Staples parking lot when Guy started talking to me. And we had a very long conversation, and he happens to be a former general.
Wow. Okay.
And teaching geopolitics at Temple. And he was, so much about geopolitics. I'm learning about it on a daily basis. And then we talked, and he told me, check Stratfor, STRATFOR. So that's a really great American organization that focuses really on international geopolitics and everything that's happening around the world, to have really a sense of, one more time, non-biased. It's not about politics. It's just what's happening in this country. Where are naval ships moving for? So it's very much more specialized, but it focuses on every country of the world. They have specialists everywhere. Wow. So that's very fascinating too.
Wow. Yeah, there's so much happening in our world right now that it can feel really hard. And, there are things affecting the arts, and there are things that are impacting what we do. But I think what's really important of what you said earlier is that, from the beginning, humans have been making art, and through times of struggle and through wars and through all of it, the arts is what has, sustained and what maintains. I mean, people were writing music and playing in concentration camps. Even in the darkest of times, that's what people have turned to. And so I think it's really important what we do. And And
it's helped both the victims and the people who were, creating the problems. But art at all time in civilization, and music is healing, helps us feel better and also safer. So help us, help us, striving and show up to the concerts.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, the last question that I ask, which we ask everybody, because the podcast is called Orchestrating Change. And so we ask everybody who joins us, and you can answer it however you like. You can be short answer, it can be very unspecific, is how do we orchestrate change?
By first recognizing that humans don't like change. That's going to be my answer. And then starting from, I think change comes from the lowest grounds, so us as citizens. It never comes from higher up. right? So it's just by making those small actions, like be it creating a community garden or creating a class, offering for some students to become ushers for a concert so they can witness music and feel helpful and learn some skills at the same time. Every little action creates change. I think do not try to do at very large level, just small actions and then it come in.
It's fabulous. Well, Mélisse, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been so fun.
This has been so fun. Thank you so much. And I can't wait for Brahms this week, which it will have happened in the past when this comes out, but I'm sure it's going to be fabulous. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's been a joy.
Orchestrating Change is a production of the Canton Symphony Orchestra. Our theme music was composed by Eric Gould and performed by Derek Snyder and Tim Adams. Our video and audio editor is Sarah Daler. Thank you for listening, and see you next time.